Hi friends, this week Parshat Lech Lcha. Amongst various things that happen in the Parsha, one of those is that the great patriarch and matriarch Abraham and Sarah get new names. Originally they were Abram and Sarai, and they become Abraham and Sarah. And there's various rabbinic understandings, midrashim, about why their names were changed and what's the specific meaning of the specific changes and the letters that are changed and added. Genesis chapter 17, verse 5 has the changing of Avram's name to Abraham, and then later in the same chapter is Sarai to Sarah. The Torah says, verse 5, V'lo yikarei od et shimcha Avram, your name will no longer be called Avram, v'haya shimcha Avraham, rather it will be Avraham, ki av hamon goyim netaticha, because I've made you the father of nations. And that word Avraham is seen as Rashi says, Lashon notrikon shel shmo, that his name is essentially a combination of those of Av Hamon, is Avraham, the father of many nations. Rashi there notes that, I won't read the whole Rashi inside, but Rashi notes that Avraham gets an additional letter, a hey. It went from Avram to Avraham. He didn't lose any letters, as opposed to later in the same chapter, Sarah, her name is Sarai, and it becomes Sarah. The yud drops out and is replaced by a hey. Rashi quotes a midrash which says as follows, Af yod shel Sarai nitra'ama ala shchina. The yud complains, cries out to God, saying, how could you drop me from Sarah's name? Ad shehosifa liYehoshua, until God ultimately takes that yud and adds it to later in the Torah to Joshua's name. We know that the next leader after Moshe of the Jewish people is Yehoshua. His name was not always Yehoshua, Joshua, Yehoshua. It was Hoshea, and a yud is added. So the midrash interestingly says that that added yud was the same yud which was dropped from Sarah's name, which is itself a beautiful idea. Let's see what the Maharal does with that. It says like this. Da ki havayot haTorah hem mekuyamim nitzchiim lo yishtanu. The reality of the Torah is eternal, and it does not change. Ki inyan haTorah ba'im mimakom shehu lemala min hahefsed. Because all of the Torah comes from a place which is separate, it's above. It's removed from the notion of ebb and flow, gain and loss. It's eternal. Lekach ha'otiot b'Torah shehem imat tzadik ra'ui lehem hanitzchiot v'lo hashinui. So too, the letters of the Torah, and especially the letters of names associated with those who are righteous, also should not change. I.e., Sarah, Sarai. If a yud is associated with her name, it shouldn't leave. So then what? Zeh ha'inyan hu davar nifla ma'od. So this is a very wondrous thing, lemevin, to understand. Ki havaya hazot shahaya hayud natan barosh Yehoshua. How could you get this yud, which was the last letter of Sarah's name, Sarai's name, get taken off and appended to the beginning of Joshua's name? But he gives a very interesting answer. Ot yud ba'atzma shahaita etzel Sarah besofa atiyot. That letter, which was at the end of the letters of Sarai's name, Saraf HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'rosh Yehoshua. God specifically puts it at the beginning of Joshua's name. Ki tachlit havayot ha'avot, because the very essence of the mission or purpose of the patriarchs and matriarchs, like Sarai, Sarah, Shehu, Avraham v'Sarah, Haya Rosh Lebanim, is to be the essence of the four fathers and four mothers, is to be the beginning or the root for their children, for their descendants. And what's an example of this? Now the Maharal quotes a verse from Psalms, Tehillim Kuf Yud Chet 118, beautiful passage. Even ma'asu habonim, the stone that the builders refused, haita l'rosh pina, will become the head cornerstone. What's another way of saying that? Ki havaya katana etzel habonim, something which for the builders was subsidiary or minor. Shehem ha'avot, who were the builders, the patriarchs. Haita l'rosh pina, for the next generation becomes central. So what's he saying? It's an incredible idea that the Yud, what for Sarai was the end of her name, which he wants to understand as being subsidiary or secondary, becomes for the later generations, like Joshua, a great leader of the Jewish people, is the first letter of his name. What was the last becomes the first. So how does the Maharal solve this problem? He said, the Torah is eternal. How could a Yud, which was attached to Sarah Imenu, granted when her name was Sarai, how can she lose that and it flies off and goes to someone else? So that's the very essence and purpose of what it means to be a patriarch and matriarch, is that which for you is secondary or subsidiary, the Yud at the end of your name, becomes central, ikari, central for your descendants, Joshua. That Yud takes on deep importance. So the Yud complains to God, oh, you took me off from Sarah. Yeah, but that Yud, you then become first and foremost to a later generation. Beautiful understanding from the Maharal. He then goes on to talk about why specifically a Yud. It's small, but he also gets into the fact that numerically, Yud, which is the number 10, is significant because it's sort of encapsulates 1 through 9, and then we count in groupings of 10. So he says that's important as well. Always a pleasure learning with you. More next week.